YouTube, what is going on? Crowder here, aka the Atlanta FaZe head coach, and I'm here to help you out with the Rio Hardpoint Spawns. Let's get into it. And okay, so leading into this map, this is my favorite map. I do think this is the best spawn system that we have so far when it's just not as crazy. Spawns still get a little bit wild because COD's not perfect, but for this P1 right here, which is dead center, you're going to have spawns that happen over here, like either in these alleys or just back middle. And then, of course, on the other side of things, this is the P3 side of the map right here, and you're going to get the P3 side of the spawn, like P4, P3 area. And if you just let these arrows kind of play out, you're going to see that as all three kills go down, you're going to see where the blue arrows are spawning, and then you're going to see as the red arrow dies, they will be spawning on this side of the map, which is just very, very simple. Very easy to read. And then, of course, you have P2, which is coming up over here on the left side. So, you know, you obviously want to try and have this side of the map towards the end of that P1 if you can. But pretty simple spawns. Let's show you an in-game scenario and move on to this P2. And for the in-game scenario today, we're going to be using a gameplay from Zuma, just playing rank play. It's just very, very simple stuff. Zuma is obviously a very talented COD player. He knows what he's doing when it comes to playing Call of Duty. And at this level in ranked, it's going to be very easy to kind of see what you really need to do. So as we have talked in almost every single video, you look up to your mini-map and you see where you're spawning. And since you're spawning obviously on this side of the map, which is the P2 side, you have a couple different lanes that you want to pick up depending where your teammates are. With 40 seconds left, he has plenty of time to obviously pressure this old hill, which is P1, and make a play because of the sole fact that, you know, they doesn't have to worry about obviously playing for a certain side or flipping them out or anything like this. So Zuma's going to approach this P1, get some kills, and as you can see right here, if you pause it and you see where his teammates are, and this guy over here is in the hill, the people that are dying on the other team should be coming up the middle escalators and the middle staircase because they are spawning on the P3 side of the map. And then you obviously are going to have your teammates coming off a spawn on your side, which is going to be pretty easy. So if he gets this kill, which he doesn't, the other guys would be coming up towards that escalator side. Pretty simple stuff when it comes to P1. Moving over to P2, it can get a little bit more confusing. So let's go into that one right now. Now moving over to the P2, the spawns are also very, very easy to understand when it comes to you just are kind of spawning in the back area, like the surf shop, the back P2 side over here. And if you're not spawning in the back of this side over here, you're getting these front spawns, which is like, you know, around the zig connector area, or just obviously in the front where P4 is, or the P4 spawns, or the front P2. Very, very simple. And if you just kind of let this hill play out, you're going to see kind of how they go. Right now, where I was just about to say it can get a little bit more confusing. Sometimes, depending on how you're coming off a spawn on this map, you can see like these weird spawns where like you can spawn in zig, but they can actually spawn behind you. But it's also because number 7 over here is kind of blocking this back spawn. So the blue team doesn't have too many options of where they need to spawn. Realistically, they could either spawn in the zig area or they're going to spawn behind you over here by like the surf shop back there. So depending on where your teammates are and how vocal you can be, you can definitely read some spawns even though they can be confusing. So this one's a little bit more of like just a confusion sometimes. But the more you play it and the more like you kind of watch these arrows go out, especially as matches start happening and you have a lot more reps on the map, you can see how just everything plays out, and it's not as crazy as it probably feels in-game. Still going to be a little bit on the pretty stupid side of spawns, but at the same time, the more you do, you know, it kind of calms down. So it really just depends on if you get that split in the back, or if you're obviously blocking that back spawn, things can get weird. So just keep that in mind when you're playing. But as this hill plays out, you can just kind of see the more and more the arrows get, you know, kind of closer. It's just like they spawn on the front side or they spawn on the back side. And you can also see that 6 got really far pushed up, and he pressures this side of the map that actually causes one of the blue arrows to flip too. So you can kind of see how you can manipulate these spawns. Pretty simple stuff. Let's move into an in-game scenario and then move on to P3. And for the in-game scenario for P2, you're going to have it right here. We're going to be on board, you know, with Zuma's gameplay. He's fighting someone middle of the map right now. His teammates are getting kills. His teammate gets another kill right here. So if you pause it here, if he wins this gunfight, you know, they just got another kill. Enable gets one. He's about to kill this guy. If you're looking at the minimap on the top left, depending on his teammates' communication, there's 2 places that these guys can spawn, right? Now, P2 was the one that can get a little weird sometimes with the splits, depending on how it goes. So as Zuma gets this kill, he has 2 choices. He can either take off towards the front and start spawn killing these guys that probably should be spawning up to his left, or depending on the communication of his teammates, if there are people behind him or they are not blocking, there's a potential that they can spawn out, right? So Zuma's going to use the awareness to be able to push up here and kind of look for people off of spawn. And you can see now at the top left of the minimap, they do have a teammate pushed up pretty far, but there is a guy on top of that teammate. They're fighting each other, and he does flank the spawn to end up running into this guy's zig. So he does predict the spawns correctly, and he finds himself gunfights, but there's also a possibility that with them being so far pushed up that any kill that they do get, they can definitely spawn out behind them P2 as well. So as you're playing and the more you understand the spawns, you're going to kind of understand just what's going on. And just for the video's sake, we're going to let Zuma spawn up here for a second. you're going to see that he does spawn in the back of P2 again. So the other team is definitely still spawning out towards like that P3 garage or the P4 area. And of course, then it's going to be forced for them to make a decision whether they want to hit the old or obviously shift over to the new, because P3 is kind of right next to them. And yeah, so hopefully this helps you guys out, and let's move on to that P3. And now for this P3, the spawns are also going to be in the basic, you know, the back over here, or you're going to kind of spawn in the front, or like kind of get like this pushed up connector spawn depending on it. And like you can just kind of see how it plays out. Depending on how far you push up through the back of the hill, you might be able to actually get a flip, but most of the time, if you're coming from this side and you're spawning blue or towards like, you know, the P2 area of this side or over here by the lobby, they're just going to constantly kind of be spawning in the back, and you're going to be spawning in the front depending on the routes that you're taking. And then you can see that number 2 is taking a route towards the left, because P4 is more towards over this side of the map now too, which is going to be over here. So that's kind of what you have to think about when you're coming off a spawn. You know, it's talking about what you need to think about. Let's move into a in-game scenario for you on this P3 and then move on to the next hill. All right, so now let's break down a P3 in-game scenario from Zuma. And of course, you're going to be watching this right now, and they're just kind of playing the hill. If you pause it and you look up to the top left, he has teammates in the back of that P3. So any kill that they're getting, they're going to be coming from the top middle escalator side or the left side of the bridge, or the right lane, which is going to be that zigzag lane over here, which is through the right towards the P4. So remember, the next hill is P4, which is right to his right. So as these kills are going down, and you know, they're kind of just trying to keep hill pressure, you're going to watch it. All the kills that they just got, if you can kind of look at the mini map right now, most likely, since they're not very far pushed up, all the kills they did get are going to be kind of spawning pretty deep. And then they're going to know exactly where the next wave of kills is going to be kind of coming from. And as their teammates are starting to push up, there is now no one blocking that back spawn at all. So if they do get kills, there is now a potential for that flip, right? So you're going to watch it kind of just play out here. They're all going to be pushing up. Zuma gets 1 kill. And as this is, you know, kind of playing out, right here is where you see that one of his teammates did just spawn. You see these 2 green dots right here. One of his teammates did just spawn out, which means one either took a route and spawned behind them, or obviously just flipped behind them. So immediately as this happens, Zuma should know that it is time for him to turn around and obviously play these kind of kills in the hill. And if he got this kill, there is going to be reinforcements of the people that probably just spawned there as well with him. So the more kills go down, and the more you kind of just realize when and when not you don't want to block, that's going to help you out a lot. But now that they're spawning out here and there's 10 seconds left, the P4 is going to be on the left side, and they're obviously a little bit slow to rotate. So Zuma's going to probably try and pressure ult here and like do a pinch. There's a couple different ways you might want to approach it. But again, if you are spawning out, maybe it's time to hit that rotation to the left. Maybe you kind of want to obviously pressure the ult, just depending on where you're at. So you can see that the kills that Zuma and the team got, they were able to kind of predict where they're going to come from next. And as they kind of gave up that back spawn, you can see that things got kind of a little bit weird and people spawn behind them. So the more you play, the more you learn, and the more you watch this video, it'll hopefully help you out. Let's move on to that P4. Now that we're on P4, again, the spawns are going to be over to here by the P2 side area. It's coming from this side of the hill. You're going to be spawning over here by back secret and P2 side area. Or you're going to be spawning over here in the back of the P3 area, and you're going to kind of have that flood fest of depending on how you want to play it. So if you watch these arrows like kind of come off a spawn and see where they're going, you can see that 7 and 8 are spawning over here, and then 4 and 3 and the blue arrows are spawning over here. So depending on how much you pressure you have them, you can find them spawn them deep if you want to take that pinch route, or just what you want to do in general when it comes to spawns. So as you were playing these games and as you're getting more used to Rio, you're going to see that Rio is a very, very straight up map in the sense there's not too much crazy things that can happen compared to some of the other hard points. Obviously, you know, take that with a grain of salt. But the more this map plays out, the more you're going to see that it's very, very straight up with if you're spawning on one side, most likely they're spawning on the other unless something kind of goes weird with a split. And then you kind of just have to understand your timing in the gunfights that you want to take. So let's move on to this in-game scenario and then get to the final hill. Now for this in-game scenario P4, you're going to see that there are 2 kills that have already just happened where Classic and Zuma just got 2 kills. And if you look up to the left of the mini-map, it looks like if I just explained those P4 spawns, they're obviously spawning towards that P2 side area, which means most likely the other team is going to be spawning in that back P3 area for this P4 too. And then again, Rio's a very straight up map. And you can see that these 2 kills that they get, they're kind of looking towards this garage. And as Zuma's pushing there, he's going to run into 1 kill here because he knows that if they're spawning in the back P4, they only have 2 choices to really make to hit this old time with like that 30 seconds left. Either hit through this garage, which is going to be this lane up here in the mini map, or they're going to have to hit through middle and then go through zig. So after they get those 2 kills, you can see he starts to use his spawn awareness to kind of go hunting for some more kills as people are pushing them. He gets a pretty easy one, obviously catching someone in sprint. And then you can see that the other guy is exactly where I was just saying that he can either take the route to go towards Zuma or go through middle to the zigzag area right here, which is going to help him get kills. So again, you can see how important spawn awareness is always going to help you to obviously put these enemies in front of you to kind of know when and where to expect these gunfights. Hopefully this helps you out. Now let's move on to that final hill. And finally, we are now at P5, which is going to be on this side of the bridge, kind of next to that P1 area through the U area right here. I'll also go through callouts in another video, but that's besides the point. And if you could take a guess with a very straight up map like Rio, which we all kind of love right now, the red arrows are going to be spawning on this side of the hill, kind of over here. And then the blue arrows are going to be spawning on this side over here towards the back fire truck or the surf shop area. And if you let these arrows play out, you're going to see exactly that. So when you're coming off a spawn and you can see the red arrows are spawning on this side, kind of the back P3 compared to the back B2 area, the more these kind of play out, you're going to see that there's not too many routes to take. And that's why Rio's kind of like a fun map, or at least in my opinion, it's fun, is when you spawn up on this side, you either can take the through the middle route and obviously pinch you, or you're going to have to kind of like fight on head on with some teamwork and win some gunfights. So Rio, you're going to have to bring a lot of gunny when it comes to playing Rio Hardpoint. I do think this video will help you guys learn these spawns fast, especially so you can have a better ranked play experience. Let's do this last in-game scenario and then, send you guys on your way to get some ranked wins. Let's go. And for the last and final in-game scenario, just giving you an understanding of how it looks from an actual first person's perspective and not having the big Codcaster mini map on the bottom left, is going to be for this P5. So as you can see here, Zuma's spawning up on this side of the P5, which is like the back P3 area. And as this is playing out, you can pause it right here. His teammates get 2 kills. He's spawning on the blue lobby or the P3 side of this. So what he's going to do here is actually kind of push up through the middle and secure this middle map area, and just know that everyone that they're killing is going to be on this side of the map on the opposite lobby side. And you also realize too, if they just got 2 kills right here and the hill is red, they at least know where that third guy is. So they're only looking for 1. So he can basically run up this middle map. Pretty clear that he's going to run into at maximum a 1v1. And depending on how these kills go, if it's not going to be that 1v1 and there's no one there, they're probably both at the old time. And he either can obviously pinch through the middle, control the middle, or obviously shift towards this hill. So let's see what Zuma does here as this kind of plays out. So you can see right now, he's looking through the middle. 2 of his teammates go down, but he's going to be able to make this pinch and probably run into someone on this street, which is right here off of spawn, because of the fact that he just kind of knew they were spawning on this side of the map. So you can see again, the more you understand the spawns, the more you can kind of just force yourself into gunfights that you actually are prepared for. So hopefully that in-game scenario helped you guys out a lot. If it did, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And hopefully all these tutorial guides at a very basic level have just helped your rank play experience just a little bit. If it did, subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more coming to you guys. And as always, it's been your boy Crowder. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.